Hi, welcome to the Fit and Healthy Today show. And today our topic matter is the discussion of salt, particularly Himalayan salt, pink salt. You know, salt is a very controversial topic. And you know, I have a lot of doctors now that recommend that their patients keep their salt or sodium content low, and because of blood pressure issues and kidney issues and a load of other health issues. And so I did some research on this. You know, I recently opened a store in which we feature Himalayan salt lamps and Himalayan salts and all that type of stuff here in Lompoc. And I'd done some research, but never to the depth that I have done, that I'm going to present to you today. And so I think it's really important that you recognize there's a difference in salts, complete difference in salts. And I think maybe I can educate you a little bit so you have a better idea of what type of salt to use and what the benefits of real salt are and what the destructive abilities of table salt can be. So when we define salt, okay, the word salt originally comes from the Latin word for sun or soul, and the Celtic German word for holy, wholeness, or sound vibration. So Himalayan sea salts or pink sea salts consist of sodium chloride, but they also have calcium, magnesium, potassium, and 72 other trace minerals at different variances. Now, your body requires 0.007 ounces of salt per day. Now, this is real salt, active, living salt that's compressed for millions of years under the right conditions. Most salt mines that we have out nowadays that process sea salt have not been under extreme amounts of pressures like you're going to get like within the Himalayas, where you've got so much pressure that it's made these salts into crystalline forms that are actually live salt forms. Now, the average consumption of table salt, now mind you, I said 0.007 ounces of salt per day. The average consumption of table salt per day is 0.4 to 0.7 ounces per day. Now, you can do the math on that, and you can pretty much see that's 10 times the amount of sodium. I'm sorry, 100 times the amount of salt that you should be getting in one day, primarily because table salt is not real salt. It's sodium chloride. So remember, most sodium chlorides, 93% of them, are used for industrial uses. But the other 7% is put in our food. So when you look at a can of soup and you see a 700, 800 milligrams of sodium, that is sodium chloride. That's junk. That's pure salt in which they've removed all the trace minerals, anything beneficial in it, and they say, here's something called salt. Not even by definition what we would consider as real salt. And it is a toxic chemical that raises blood pressure, causes all sorts of metabolic disorders, kidney disorders, energy issues. Later on in this broadcast, we're going to go through and show you what happened when they did an experimentation with salt and different energy measurements in the body. Now, when we look at actual sodium chloride from table salt, we can see that it's a very aggressive substance that tries to seek out some type of biochemical equalizing counterpart, other minerals. Because what happens when that table salt hits the blood, it's a toxic chemical. And the body, it's going to look for binding agents because its pH is not proper and its charge to it is not proper. So it's going to pull whatever minerals it possibly can out of the bones and the tissues in order to bring it to the proper level so that it can maintain that 7.35 pH in the body, wreaking havoc on the metabolic of the body. It's going to make you tired, you're going to feel lousy, and every organ in your body is going to actually have malfunctioning. If you've ever eaten a bowl of the nice little canned soups, you'll notice that you instantly start swelling in your body when you eat all that type of sodium. Well, metabolically, it's throwing you completely out of balance. So docs are right as far as not utilizing table salt, but they haven't fully defined what type of salt you actually do need. So when you get that acidic edema that occurs, you get higher levels of uric acid being produced in the kidney. So I think a lot of gout we're seeing, a lot of people say it's the food, and yeah, we've got acidic foods and all of that, but I think it's the tremendous overconsumption of table salt that's causing the body to produce uric acid, so the bones and the muscles release the minerals to bind. So then you'll end up with all these kidney stones, gallstones, gout, crystallization formations on the vascular system. I think salt is probably, table salt is one of the most destructive things that we can have in our diet. I think it's destructive as sugar. And I know that's a broad statement, but if you read the research I've read, you would be convinced. Now, when we consider that actual rock salt, which is mostly the sea salts that we're getting from the grocery store, are not live, when you look at the actual pictures of them under the microscope, they're better than table salt, because table salt literally has no life. It's dead. There's nothing to it, no beautiful crystalline formations, nothing, no life to it on an energetic level. And remember, salts and minerals, salts, trace minerals, all of that, help you transfer energy for every nerve function, muscle function that is performed in the body. So good luck if you work out and you don't have actual good crystal types of salts, you're not going to transfer data and information in the body. You got a lot of stress, you're not going to transfer information and data in the body, the brain, or the mind. I've used Himalayan pink salts for years and years and years, and I do notice a difference as far as my brain activities and my memory abilities are significantly better when I avoid other sodium sources and just stick with the Himalayan pink salts. Let's look at the benefits now. And I think, you know, we've talked a lot, and I could go into a scientific explanation on table salt, but I won't. In other words, avoid it. So we need a good quality Himalayan pink type of salt in order to get that beautiful live structure of salt. So there is so much research that has been done on active salts that have been under compression. And there are salt mines in Europe, and there are other salt mines, and not just Himalayan pink salts, but that's the best type of salt that we can get that we can buy and get and that we know works. But there are, for example, salt caves literally in Europe where they can take asthmatic patients into them. The asthma goes away. They literally took liver patients, people who were having near liver failure, and after 2.5 hours drew blood and put it in through liver enzymes returned temporarily to normal. So there are solutions that you can make called Soleil, in which you can get proper balance of these Himalayan sea salts, and we'll start having them at our stores available so you can buy them and you can add them into your water. But when you're looking at any of these types of salts, they're vital for all biochemical reactions, all organ functions in the body. And I've got a graphic that I want to show you that Bill copied, and we're going to get it up, and hopefully it films through properly on the TV screen. Now, the top screen shows a normal individual. They're not done a lot of excessive table salt, just a regular individuals as an average, and they've got some sodium issues. And you can see they're pretty much, the white areas are within normal range, the pink areas, they're not doing too bad, but the brain is a little bit overactive, particularly if you notice on the left side. Now that's takes away from some of the creativity and everything else that occurs. Now, the second photos show across the board when someone's been given just a diluted solution, and not even as much as you get in a bowl of soup, of just regular table salt. And you'll see those green areas, and look at them. That's very low energy that's occurring in the body. Low energy in the right portion of the brain. And that's your creative side. When you lower the energy on that, good luck in creating anything wonderful, beautiful, or the emotional side of an individual. The lack of compassion, all of that occurs when you lower the energy in that right side of that brain. Hence why we probably have so many left-sided brain people who only think analytically and never bring and involve any compassion or emotion. So literally, ADD people or people who have any focus and concentration, this will just disable them if you do regular table salt. Bottom picture shows a solution of Soleil, and it's like a 1% solution you add into water, and this stays in the body for like 24 hours. But look at that. Almost all functions are in normal range or very low active range, and that's only because there's the heart, and the heart is pretty active. So big, huge difference between what we see when people ingest table salts versus a Himalayan pink salt and active crystal salt. Bill, thank you for that graphic, and we're going to move on with the rest of the show. So we know that salt, based upon that picture, will neutralize harmful electromagnetic vibrations. Hence, you know, nuclear power plants, you know where the nuclear power waste all goes? They put them in salt mines. You know why? Because the salt neutralizes the effects of the radiation. So when you ingest and take in proper amounts of crystalline salts, your cell phones, your electromagnetics, your computers, it will aid and abet your body in dealing with these assaults of all this electromagnetic activity. They're estimating in about the course of 10 years that each person will own about 30 different electromagnetic devices that they'll utilize, each person. So the electromagnetic disruption that'll take place, but using these types of crystalline salts in a proper way will help bring the body back into balance as far as electromagnetic activity is concerned. Now, when you have a lack of crystal salts, what they've discovered in the lack of proper salt is you have a 400% increased risk of having a heart attack. So I'm hearing doctors say no salt. Yeah, they're right, no table salt, but hey, we forgot about all the good types of salts that help the heart react and function properly. So these heavy metals also flush out, or excuse me, these crystalline Himalayan salts actually flush out heavy metals. They help you have bowel movements. They clean the organs. As you noticed in the pictures that we saw there, function in a balanced, normal state. They also have research on showing that they lessen carbohydrate cravings. Boy, oh boy, I'm hearing day and night, what can I take for carbohydrate cravings? And, you know, I have some supplements and Garcinia cambogia and other things I recommend to people, but they're going to probably laugh at me when I hand them a bottle of Soleil and say, here, do this for the next 30 days, and let's see what happens to your carb cravings. Also, it's been shown for addiction cravings, alcohol cravings. This type of mixture on this Himalayan sea salt is a phenomenal healer. Now, you can also bathe in these types of salts. And literally, with a proper 1% solution, it takes probably about 2 pounds of that Himalayan salt. And it literally can pull out toxic chemicals out of the body, bring the pH back into normal. And for psoriasis and eczema, there's some wonderful clinical studies on those Himalayan sea salts being able to help bring in the healing properties on the skin as well, too. I know me, I have suffered off and on from eczema and psoriasis for, since I was a little kid. And they make a tremendous, every day I put that in my bath water, and it makes a tremendous difference in the health of my skin when I do it. When I forget it, it doesn't work. Now, we also do have Himalayan salt lamps available. And what you can do with those is you plug them in, and depending on the size of the lamp, what happens is the light bulb that's inside warms the salt. It takes it a couple hours, but after a couple hours, you'll get an 8 to 12 hour span around you of negative ions that you're breathing in that literally, if it's in the room of ADD and ADHD kids, can make a tremendous difference in their overall actions and reactions in the brain. You saw that graphic that Bill put up, and it was just a phenomenal difference in how the electromagnetic activity was reacting in all the organs in the body. So there are ways that you can actually take it with you as well, or plug it near computers and that type of thing. A lot of information in a very short period of time, but I want you to have the best idea or information available so that you know when you come in to a good health food store, whatever. You grab the Himalayan pink salts, proper usage, we won't see a spiking of blood pressure, beneficial health. So don't ignore salt. It can be very